Okay, geometry class, we're moving right along to section 8.6. In the past, in the last couple sections, we've been dealing with right triangle trig. And that involved SOHCAHTOA. And SOHCAHTOA was kind of the default, or what you went to, or what you used, sine, cosine, and tangent when you have a right triangle. But now we're getting into, when you don't have a right triangle. So in section 8.6, we talk about the law of sines. In section 8.7, we're going to talk about the law of cosines. And these are for non-right triangles. They're also called oblique. OBLIQUE triangles. Okay, so not right triangles. So this is not a right triangle here, or this overall shape is not a right triangle, I should say. They kind of have made the height into a 90-degree angle, but so oblique triangles. Section 8.6, I'm going to section this video off into two, or this section off into two videos. So we're only going to do about half of this section since it is kind of a longer one. But the first thing that they talk about is finding the area of a triangle that is not an oblique triangle, okay? So what they will do is finding the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height, or base times height divided by 2, okay? But what they have said is that if we don't know what the height is, the height can be represented as c times sine of a, okay? So everything else stayed the same in this equation, 1/2 b, 1/2 b. Okay, the height, they're saying, is now the same as c times sine of a, and I'm going to kind of show you how that works. Okay, so if we take this triangle right here and we're trying to represent the height, this height is like the altitude here, where it makes a 90-degree angle with the bottom. That's the height that we have to use. And a way that we can represent that height is if we're looking at this angle C. Let me do this. If we're looking at this right triangle here, and we're looking at this angle C, okay, H is going to be the opposite, and A over here is going to be the hypotenuse, okay? And the trig function that uses opposite hypotenuse is sine. So we can say sine of C, angle C, is equal to the opposite, which is labeled H, over the hypotenuse, which is A, okay? Now, if we're trying to solve for H, okay, we would just multiply A to the other side. And so we can write H as A times sine of C, okay, which is how they have it written here. Let's see, they wrote it as, oh shoot, they did the other one, C sine of A, okay, but it's the same concept. So they used A here and this C here. Oh well, whatever. I guess that kind of goes to show you where they get all three of these formulas here, where it doesn't really matter which one they use, C sine of A, C sine of B, or B sine of A, or B sine of C. Doesn't matter, that just kind of goes to show you where that height is coming into play from, okay? So given the area, that's how they have figured out this equation here, okay? All right, so find the area to the nearest tenth. They want us to plop some stuff in. And let's see what we have going on. Come on. There we go. Okay. So angle 104 is going to be my capital C. My lowercase c would be opposite that. Okay, and we don't know anything about lowercase c. But 9, okay, we have to decide what 9 is. Is 9 going to be lowercase a or lowercase b? Since it's opposite b, he's going to be lowercase b. This guy is going to be lowercase a, okay? So I know that I have my angle C. Let's see, we're going to do this guy right here. I have my angle C, and then I just want to use my other two sides, A and B. So really just plopping this into the formula. This is 1/2 base times the height. Really, base is going to be kind of your B, okay? And the height is represented by this sine of C times the other variable, okay? So I'm just going to put in 1/2 A. We said A was 8, B was 9, and then I have sine of 104, okay? And then I'm just going to plop that in, and that will help me to find the area of this guy, okay? All right, let me do some of this in my head. 1/2 of 8 is 4, so I could do 4 times 9 instead. 4 times 9 times sine of 104. That gives it to me faster, I think. And the area is going to be 34.9-ish and change. 34.9 centimeters squared is what his area will be. Okay, so again, this is for non-right triangles. That's how you find the area of that guy. Okay, now they're getting us into the law of sines, and this is what you think of when you think of the law of sines. Okay, it is this formula down here, and you will only ever use, let me zoom in on this guy, you will only ever use 2 of these at a time. Okay, so maybe you don't use this section right here, and you use sine of A over A and sine of B over B. Okay, and what you're doing is you're setting up a proportion there where you can cross multiply these guys. So like sine of A times B and A times sine of B. And then you can solve the equation. Okay, so really what this is saying is whatever your angle is, the side that's opposite goes below it. Whatever your angle is here, the side that's opposite goes below it. Okay, so they want us to use this proportion or use this formula to solve triangle ABC. And what that means, I think we've talked about this before, is that you find everything that you don't already have. Okay, so I need angle A, angle B, angle C, and side A, side B, side C. Okay, those are things that I need to have labeled. And I know some of these already. Okay, like I know angle C is 80 degrees. Okay, so I'm going to put that here. I know angle B is 45 degrees. Okay, and I know this guy is 3, okay? 3, is that going to be little a, little b, little c? That's what I have to decide. Since he's opposite angle C, that's going to be little c, so that's going to be 3 there, okay? And then I don't know lowercase a, I don't know lowercase b, but I could figure out what capital A is, right? If I add 45 and 80 together, 45 plus 80, that's 125 degrees here. And if I subtract that from 180, that will give me 55 degrees. I've just solved for A. Okay, so there's one of my answers. All right, now let's go ahead and solve for one of these, A or B. Okay, so I'm going to set up a proportion, and it's going to be just like the equation says above here, sine of something over a side equals sine of something over a side. Okay, and I'm going to set those two equal to each other. Okay, so I know that I'm going to have to use C at some point because that's the only relationship that I know. So I would do sine of 80 over 3. That's going to be one of my proportions that I'm going to have to use. And let's say we're solving for A here now. Okay, so in that case, I want to do sine of 55 over lowercase a. Okay, and that's going to be how I'm going to solve for A. All right. So the thing that I know is 80 and 3. So I put that as one side, and then I'm going to put the 3 and the sine of 55, multiply those together. So let's just do this. A times sine of 80, this is a really fat marker, equals 3 times sine of 55. Okay, that's what he will look like. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is to solve for A, or to get A by itself, I'm going to divide by sine of 80, okay, to get him to go away, and divide by sine of 80 over here. Okay, so A, right here, this guy is going to be equal to 3 sine 55 divided by sine 80. And I'm going to type that all into my calculator at one shot. Okay, so this is what it will look like. 3 sine 55 divided by sine 80. Okay, that's what he will look like. I hit enter, and I have the A is 2.49 or 2.5, let's say. Okay, round to the nearest tenth, that means 1 decimal place. So he's going to be 2.5. Okay, all right, now we can do the same exact thing for B. I'm going to do B over here. Okay, so we're going to set up a proportion. And I'm still, what I can do is this C right here, I had sine of 80 over 3. I can still use that same one to solve for B, except here I'm going to use, if I'm wanting to get little b, what angle are you going to have to put in this spot? He's going to have to be 45 degrees here instead. Okay, so see how my proportion, the only thing that's changed is I've switched my A out for B, okay? And now I'm going to cross multiply just like I did before. So I have b times sine of 80 equals 3 times sine of 45. There he is. Okay, I'm going to divide by sine of 80. Divide by sine of 80. That will give me b by itself. And I can enter that all in at one shot. Okay, you try doing this. 3 times sine of 45 divided by sine of 80. And that is 2.2 if we round, okay? 2.2. So I have found this guy, I have found this guy, and I have found my capital A, okay? And that's what I was needing to do. So there you go. I'm going to go on to the back side. We're going to do one more example, and then I'll save the rest of it for the next video. But the example that I want to do, we're going to save this part for the next video, okay? I'm going to go ahead and do this story problem with you. So example 4, a baseball is hit between the second and third bases and is caught at point B. Point B is right here, okay? As shown in the figure, how far away from second base will the ball be caught? So if it's caught here and here is second base, I'm trying to find this side right here, this length, okay? All right, so let's look at some things that we have. Let's say, okay, this is capital B. Let's call this guy A and this guy C. Sure, let's do that. Maybe, let me see. Come on. Okay, so I'm just going to write out A, B, C, and A, B, C. Now in this case, we don't have to solve for everything. We're only solving for a particular side, so we don't have to solve everything here. Okay, all right. Oh, come on, you darn thing. It's not wanting to focus for me. There we go. There we go. That's a little better. Okay. So angle C is 43 degrees. Angle A is 65 degrees. And 90 is what we know. Okay, 90 is going to be a lowercase letter, A, B, or C. It is going to be B because he's opposite of side B, or angle B. Okay, so that's what 90 is. And we have to decide. Okay, so we can figure out what angle B is. If I do 65 and 43, and then subtract that from 180, 65 plus 43 is 108. If I subtract that from 180, see if you can do that in your head, that is 72. Okay, and now I need to figure out what I'm solving for. If I'm trying to find this length here, that is opposite angle C, so it's going to be side C. This is what I'm solving for here. I don't really even care about A. I don't have to solve for A. I just want to know what C is. So what I can do is I'm going to use the B's together and I'm going to use the C's together, okay? All right, so I can set up my proportion and I do sine of something over something equals sine of something over something, okay? I'm going to put my B's over here because those are the ones that I know, so I need to do sine of 72 over 90 and sine of 43 over C, which is the one that I don't know. And then I cross multiply just like before. Okay. So I have C times sine of 72 equals 90 times sine of 43. Okay. And then what do I do to solve for C? I can divide by sine of 72. All right. And C will be equal to whatever that is, 90 times sine of 43 divided by sine of 72. And that is 64.5. Okay, since this is a story problem, that has to mean something, right? 64.5 what? Feet. So that is from the distance, from where the ball is caught to second base, that distance is 64.5 feet. Okay? All right, so we will finish and do, let's see, we'll finish and do this part in my next video, but there you go.